What's going on, everybody? My name is Paul. I'm over 40, not done yet, actually just getting started. In the last few years, I figured out a lot of things. I moved from one state to another, started my own business, started multiple YouTube channels. This is my third. The other two channels are a combined 70,000 subscribers right now. And I just wanted to kind of share my story. Today, I wanted to talk about a little bit about my dad. I lost my father almost 2 months ago. It was on June 2nd, 2026, that I found out in the morning that my dad has passed away in the hospital. I was very close to my father. The impact from that loss has weighed on me in every single part of my life. It weighed on me. It has shown itself negatively in my approach to my business, in my approach to my YouTube channels, just mentally, I'm not even as involved probably as I should be in a lot of aspects of my life, being a husband, a father, and all that. Although, don't get me wrong, I'm still doing a great job, just not being my normal self. My wife lost her dad 10 years ago. I saw how she dealt with it. It's been a long time. I forgot, a lot of how she went through it later. And as I said and mentioned, I was very close to my dad. He was sick for the last 9-10 years. Very sick. Kidney disease, 2 amputated legs, diabetes, legally blind last couple of years. Last 4 or 5 years, he was 100% dependent on his family. So he couldn't eat by himself. He couldn't go to the restroom by himself, nothing. And we never even considered thinking of or putting him in a nursing home, ever. That's one thing. So we always stayed with the family. He had his grandkids around for a while. Then he moved with my mother a little bit further out, so his grandkids were further away, and I think that weighed him a little bit and got him a little bit depressed. And I think he went downhill from that a little bit quicker because of it. Because the more family you have around you, and especially young family, when you're an older sick person, your children, your grandchildren, and they want to be involved in your life and be around you and talk to you and joke with you and have fun with you, that keeps you going, that keeps you happy. And when you're happy, you want to keep going. So my father lost that for the last 2 years because, my mother and him moved. Before, he lived in the same house I did, with his grandkids and my wife and stuff like that. So it's a very big loss for me to lose my dad. I've been his medical proxy for the last 9 years. I probably knew more medically about him than anybody else in my family, including himself. I've dealt with every doctor. I've dealt with every single thing that concerned him and his health. I talked to him on a daily basis, video called him all the time, called him normally, just talked to him. Some days I didn't have time, I was busy, and when your parent dies, when somebody close like that dies, you regret those days because you were too busy and you didn't make that phone call, and you could have. And they were laying in bed and they felt alone. They had nothing else to do. So why didn't you make the phone call? And you keep second guessing yourself. And it's tough. It's very, very tough sometimes. But that is, life. That is normal human behavior. You can't second guess yourself. I was always there for the biggest moments when you needed me. He could always count on me with medical issues, and if he needed to talk, if he needed to spend time, and he really did, I'd take a day off and just spend time with him and stuff. That's how it was. So what I want to share is pretty much how much it weighs on my life and how I'm dealing with it. Well, I could say I'm not dealing good with it, but I could also say I'm dealing very well with it. It depends. Everybody deals with things differently. In the beginning, there was times very often that I would just either drive a car or do whatever, and thoughts come to my mind, like especially thoughts like he was in the hospital by himself. It was during early morning hours. Somebody was there with him every single day, but at that particular time when he passed, there was nobody there. He just had a small procedure done and his heart just gave out. So he was all alone. I don't know if he felt pain. I don't know if he felt fear. There was no one there to hold his hand and help him go through that. And that weighs on me crazy. Like, you wouldn't believe. We kept him home. We didn't want him in the nursing home to have the biggest chance of him possibly, if it comes to it, going in his sleep at home. And we still weren't able to do that. It's just tough. It's tough dealing with it, tough understanding it, tough explaining it to yourself. My dad wasn't old. He was 74 years old, about to be 74. 73 years old. He was about to turn 74 in August. I miss him greatly because he was a huge part of my life. And it's tough for me to even talk about it because I get very emotional about it. I'll tell you one thing, I always liked listening to music. I don't listen to the regular music that a lot of people listen to. But I like listening to soundtrack music and, things like that. I can't listen to music anymore, at least till now. I don't know if, it's probably going to change sooner or later, but I can't listen to music. Because a lot of that soundtrack music especially, it gets me very emotional and I start imagining and envisioning him and his last moments or moments from our life, and I miss him, and then I get emotional and all that. So it's not an easy thing to deal with. I don't know, I see people like my wife lost her father 10 years ago. She still gets very emotional when she sees him on video, when she sees him on photos, and when we discuss him, she gets very emotional. So it shows you that if you're really emotionally connected to a member of your family and you lose them, it just, the pain never stops. It just never goes away. It might get a little bit smaller and lost in all the other things you're dealing with in your life, but it's always going to be there, and you got to learn to live with it. Depending on what you believe in your life, whether you believe in God, whether you don't believe in God, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say that you're going to meet again, because if you don't believe in afterlife, then you don't believe in that. For one, I believe in that, so I believe that I'm going to meet up with him again in afterlife, and we're going to be together, but am I sure of it? I don't have proof of it. It's faith. But like I'm saying, if you don't believe that, that's your prerogative to not believe it. And I'm not saying you're wrong or right. It's just, as everybody deals with loss differently, everybody has different beliefs as well, and that's perfectly fine. People believe what they believe. But one person, if you believe something, you don't necessarily have to accept somebody else's truth either. You believe what you believe, and you deal with things the way you deal with things. And if you need to take time off for yourself, you take time off for yourself. If you need to get back to work and grieve that way, then that's that. I think there is no point of sitting around and moping for a very long time, because then you could fall into depression, and it's going to be, the longer you're not working and not doing anything productive, the longer you're in that state, the harder it's going to be to get out of it. So when my father died on June 2nd, I had a lot of things to take care of, because he came from overseas. He came from Poland. We were Polish. He always wanted to be laid to rest there. So I had to take care of all those things to be able to get him ready here, prepare him, ship his body to Poland, notify everyone, and then have a proper funeral in Poland as well. So I took care of that. He got everything that he wanted to get in a way that he wanted to get it. And I made sure of that. It cost me money, but that was his last wish. What am I supposed to not go by it? So it took about 2 weeks to be able to ship him, to get all that stuff ready. Then I was a week in Poland, came back, took a week off. So I was out of work and out of being productive in anything in my life, YouTube, work, business, anything, for a month. But most of it, I was dealing with the logistics of getting him there in a funeral. So I was really, like, after his funeral, I was really off for a week only. And sometimes I do think that it's not enough. But then on the other hand, if I would be just sitting home moping and sad, I have little kids, I have a wife, I can't just fall into a depressive state and not be there for them as I should be as the head of the family. I'm the father, I'm the husband. They all depend on me. I can't disappoint them. They count on me. They count on me for income, for support, for my fatherly and husband duties, if you know what I mean. So it's been very tough. It's been stressful at times. My blood pressure some days is super high because I keep thinking about my father, and it gets bad. And I was trying to be physically active before he passed, trying to get a little healthier because my blood pressure was a little too high. Now it's much higher because of his passing and stuff. But it also affected my physical fitness because I moved away from that. It affected every single part of my life. But don't let it, if you're in a situation like that, I tried to get out of it, and I started working out again. I started walking again and weightlifting again and all that. So if you're dealing with stuff like that, don't let it affect you for a very long time, because it's not going to have a positive effect on you. Yeah, take a little bit of time for grievance and sadness and crying. If you need to cry or whatever, just do it. When I was in Poland, I'll tell you this. I never told anybody about this. But when I was in Poland, I had a rented car, and I took a drive after my dad's funeral already. And I took a drive, and I was driving through this secluded area, just forests and wood everywhere, and a highway going through. And I was going like 50 maybe, and I just opened the window and I screamed as loud as I could. And I called out for my dad. Like, where are you? Are you there? Are you okay? But you're never really going to get that answer, so you just got to believe that they're okay. If there is somewhere that they are. So, you know, I might want to share with you more in other videos, but this is probably as far as I go with this video. Just wanted to kind of get you a glimpse of how it affected me and how I'm dealing with it. And, you know, if you're in a similar situation, let me know. Ask me in the comments. Try to start a conversation. I'll definitely reply. And I'll try to address it for you if I can. Maybe ease your pain a little bit, because, you know, if you're going through it and I'm going through it, maybe we could give each other some advice. So I hope that maybe this video helps somebody to understand what happened, to kind of help you deal with what happened, and things like that. So we'll see. I hope it serves its purpose. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.